watching Vec, and welcome to my grip style drift video for the Rx7. I'm going to be explaining a little bit to what I mean by grip style. There's some people that struggle with oversteer with drifting. That means when you're drifting, your car tends to kind of go in a little too much and you start to spin out. So I'm going to be covering a good build that's a little bit more on the gripper side. So if you're spinning out too easily, this is going to help you out with that and maybe get some of those big points. I'm also going to be explaining more into what my choices are and why I made those choices, maybe clear up some things. This is a pretty typical build as far as builds for drifting goes. And if you want to see me use this build in an actual downhill drift, specifically bird's eye, you can check the comment below. There'll be a timestamp on there. Just click on that and you can just watch me drift and see what you think, and then return to this part if you like. And yeah, let's get on to it. So my choice in engine is that 4.0 liter V8. It gives you a lot of torque, and that's really what you want when you're drifting. You don't want a lot of horsepower, because a lot of horsepower translates to higher speed, and when you're drifting, you don't really want to focus on speed. You want to focus on staying kind of like within like second and maybe sometimes third gear, just to hold that drift nice and clean and collect those beautiful points. So the 4.0 V8 has the most torque, so my choice is usually that. If you were looking for something for your car, you could always just test out for something that has the most torque. But don't be deceived when you're making your engine choice as base, because sometimes the highest torque on base engines isn't going to be translating to the highest torque overall once you actually put all these beautiful ultimate plus parts. I will be doing more of these build videos, so eventually you might see the car that you use. If you don't yet, hit me up, comment below if you want to see a different build. But yeah, as far as the engines go for the 4.0 V8 for an RX7. As far as the two-bore supercharger go, I always go for the screw supercharger. I see a lot of people going straight for the dual supercharger, and it makes a lot of sense. It actually does make a lot of sense. You get a bit of a boost down low, but it also gives you a boost up high. And you don't really get a really smooth one because it's a tiny little boost down in the bottom of the revs, and then a bigger boost up high. So you don't want to go for the dual supercharger. Instead, what I choose is the screw supercharger, because it gives you a more smoother boost overall, so it balances out. It's just as high at the low end as at the high end, and that's really what you're looking for, because you're not really looking for speed. Speed is more like the enemy of drift. You don't really want to go too far because you're going to miss out on a lot of those points. And yeah, so the screw supercharger is my choice. It's a little bit of a different choice. If you want to go for the dual supercharger, go ahead, but for me, it's a screw supercharger every time for any build. Now, as far as the suspension go, I like to go for the showcase suspension because I like to keep my car down low. I do a lot of downhill drifting because that's just kind of what I like. You can also use this for uphill drifting, but another good choice for this build would also be the speed cross suspension. It makes your car a little bit higher, so if you're doing a lot of bumpy roads, this is what's going to help you out. But if you're doing a lot of flat runs, a lot of downhill runs, using the showcase suspension would be my go-to, but that's just me. This is what I use. As far as brakes, I always go for stock brakes. If it's the lower the better. You're using the brake just to maintain an angle. You don't really want to use a hard brake because it's going to brake hard, so it's going to break your drift again. So a soft brake is great. I actually hardly ever use a brake to maintain angles. I more recently just maintained the gas and just try to maintain the angle that way. I'll also initiate the drift with the handbrake, and I'll explain kind of how that works. As far as tires, drag tires gives you the most grip. You can also go again for the speed cross tires. The speed cross tires are going to be sliding a little bit more, so if you find that this particular build is a little too grippy and you don't find yourself going sideways enough or as easy, go to speed cross tires. It'll help out a bit. It'll be a little bit more on the slidey side, but the drag tires will do just nice. And yeah, you just have two choices right there. I don't see a lot of people focus on the clutch. They just drop in just the Elite Plus clutch or whatever clutch they have, and they just call it a day. But you don't really want to do that. You want to go for the lowest clutch you want, because right now the game really behaves kind of like a half-ass kind of a clutch kick, and having a softer clutch is going to give you less of a response, less of a quicker response, and it'll help you go sideways a little bit easier, a little bit softer. With a harder clutch, you're just going to get this kind of jerky feeling, and you don't really want that because more difficult to control that initial drift. If you're using the e-brake to drift like I am, a softer clutch is your go-to. As far as gearbox go, you're not going to be going fast. You want to maintain your speeds just within 1 or 2. It's a balance that I found with this 5-speed that made me choose this one versus the 4. The 4 is a little bit too wide on the gearing, so 5-speed works for me. If you think you can get a little bit more speed off of like that second gear, or you need it a little bit more, go for the 4-speed. It's gonna be fine. 5-speed just does it just fine for me. As far as differential, I go for a speed cross differential. The showcase differential is a little bit harder. It makes your car slide up a little bit more. I will be doing a video kind of explaining how all this works in the future, so keep on lookout for that. But for now, speed cross differential has a nice balance of softness with the wheel rotation and being able to get sideways and using a little bit of grip just to initiate that drift. Auxiliaries, simple. I usually just go for the repair kits. You're not gonna go fast. You don't need a NOS to maintain like speed or anything, or keep going with your angles or anything. A NOS is kind of for me, my opinion is it's detrimental to you. You don't want to go fast. You want to just maintain that angle, and using a good balance of gas and your regular brake is actually going to help you a lot more than using NOS. So that's why I always do damage reduction, because sometimes I'm drifting in some really weird areas, a lot of dirt and stuff, and sometimes I smack my car a lot when I'm practicing and finding out what's better for these cars. The auxiliaries, damage reduction, repair kits. Now that's really as simple as this build gets. It's you can actually drop this build in a lot of cars and it'll actually work for you. There's a different build that I use for something like the 350Z, but for the time being this build will work really well, and I will be covering a different build in the future. So let's jump into the drift itself. I didn't have a face cam for this video that I'm about to show you. It's based on one of my practice runs on the Bird's Eye track. It's actually one of my favorite tracks to practice on. I got something around 870k if I remember right. You'll see at the end of the video. But hopefully you enjoy watching it as much as I enjoyed running Bird's Eye. Thank you for watching. Take care of yourselves and each other. Enjoy the video.